Okay, so namaskaram from my side. Hi, how are you? See, we are meeting today for our lecture of direct tax. Okay, so first of all, I'll give you a basic idea about the subject. Then we'll have an idea about the paper pattern and then we'll enter into the subject. Okay, see, in your group number 1, there are 3 papers, paper 1, paper 2 and paper 3. I'm not worried about paper number 1 and 2, I'm worried about paper number 3. So your group 1 has paper 3. The name of this paper is taxation. And you all must be aware that taxation paper is for 100 marks in your examinations. Okay. So in taxation, what you are going to study? In taxation, you will be studying 2 things. Number 1, you will be studying direct tax, which comes for 50 marks in the exams. And number 2, you will be studying indirect tax. And that also contains 50 marks, right? So this 50 mark syllabus which you are going to study for direct tax, this is your paper 3A. And in this, you are just supposed to study income tax only. That's it. Okay. And this 50 marks indirect tax, this is your paper 3B. And in this, you will be studying only GST, goods and services tax. Okay. I don't know that whether you have started your studies of GST or not. Okay. But we are here for this part, direct tax, paper number 3A, right? Income tax. Now see, before moving ahead, see, whenever we are going into a battle, okay, or we are going into a war, so we just have to first understand what our enemy is having, what kind of ammunitions, what kind of arms he is having, so that our preparation for that war, for that battle is, up to the mark. So we are first understanding what is our subject. Subject is direct tax and indirect tax. Both are having 50-50 marks of weightage in the examinations. But how the question paper will be there in your examination, that also you are supposed to understand. Because till the time you are not aware about the question paper, that how the questions will be asked in the exams. Okay, how many marks MCQs will be there, how many marks will be the descriptive questions will be there. You will not be able to prepare accordingly. So in order to prepare for the examination, which is a kind of a battle for a student, okay, we are first supposed to understand that what is the paper pattern. So your taxation paper is divided into 2 parts. Okay, your taxation paper is divided into 2 parts. For this 100 marks, what will happen now? 30 marks will be MCQs and remaining 70 marks will be descriptive questions, descriptive question paper. And as we all know that taxation is 50 marks direct tax and 50 marks indirect tax. So likewise, MCQs of 30 marks is also divided in the ratio of 1:1, that is 50-50. So out of 30 marks MCQs, you will be getting 15 marks MCQs from direct tax and 15 marks MCQs you will be getting from indirect tax. And you will be happy to hear this, that MCQs don't have any negative marking. There is no negative marking in MCQs. But if you will be thinking that to pass the exams, I need only 40 marks out of 100 and MCQs are there for 30 marks, so it will be very easy for me to score 25 to 28 marks in MCQs. So friends, you are wrong. In your examination, what the institute does, institute asks you MCQs on the basis of your conceptual clarity. There will be case studies which will be given in your MCQs, and based on that entire case studies, 2 or 3 MCQs will be there. Some MCQ will be having a 1 mark, some MCQ will be having 2 marks. Okay, but to have that correct answer of that MCQ, you are first supposed to understand the concept properly. You should be having a conceptual clarity, because till the time you are not having that conceptual clarity, you have not listened to the lecture properly, you have not attended the lectures properly for DT as well as IDT, you will not be able to score good marks in MCQs. But trust me on this, if you have attended the lectures properly for both DT and IDT, and if you are having a conceptual clarity, trust me on this, people are scoring 30 on 30 in MCQs. Out of 30, they are scoring 25, 28 marks also in MCQs. But for that, you need to attend the lectures properly. And you'll have to have that conceptual clarity. Okay. But negative marking is not there. Be, assured about that. Okay. Now, let us discuss about that descriptive question paper. See, this descriptive question paper will be in 2 parts. Part A, 35 marks will be DT. And part B, 35 marks will be IDT. See, what we have done, out of this 30, we have done 50-50. So out of this 70 also, we are supposed to do 50-50. Getting my point? So 50% marks belongs to DT and 50% marks belongs to IDT. Now, if you see that here 15 marks DT MCQs are asked and 35 marks DT descriptive questions are asked. So 15 plus 35 will give you 50 marks direct tax. And likewise, 15 marks IDT MCQs are there and 35 marks IDT descriptive questions are there. So 15 plus 35, you will get 50 marks IDT also, like this. Now, if you will see the question paper, descriptive question paper. So in your descriptive question paper, there will be 2 parts. Part A will be direct tax, and they will definitely give you a part B separately in that same question paper. Part B will be reflecting separately, and that will be indirect tax. So in your part A, direct tax questions will be there. For that, you will be given a separate answer sheet. A separate answer sheet will be given, and in that answer sheet only you are supposed to write down your DT. And there will be a separate answer sheet to write down your IDT answers. Please don't commit a mistake in the exams to swap these things. In your DT paper, you are writing IDT, and in your IDT paper, if you are writing DT, you will not be awarded a single mark. And out of some tension in the exam, due to some stress in the exam, students sometimes commit these kind of mistakes. So please be careful. In the DT answer sheet, you are supposed to write down DT. In the IDT answer sheet, you are supposed to write down IDT. Okay. Now, if I say that this DT 35 marks questions which are there, question number 1 will be for 15 marks. And this will be your compulsory question. This will be a compulsory question. And question number 2 to question number 4, each question will carry 10 marks. So 2, 3 and 4. There are 3 questions, each carrying 10 marks. Out of these 3 questions, you are supposed to attempt any 2 questions. So 2 questions out of 3 will give you 20 marks and 15 marks compulsory question. And that in total makes direct tax of 35 marks. Okay. Now in the same way, if you will go to IDT question number 5, because see, till question number 4 it will be direct tax, and from question number 5 part B will start. So question number 5 will be the first question of IDT, and that will also carry 15 marks, and that is also a compulsory question. Now there will be three questions, question number 6 to question number 8. Out of these three questions, each question is 10 marks, and out of these three questions you are supposed to attempt any two questions here also. Okay, so this will be broadly your paper pattern. Your taxation paper will be in this manner. So in short, in your examination you will be having two separate papers. One will be for MCQ, one will be descriptive question paper, and in descriptive also there will be two parts. So in all you are supposed to submit three answer sheets. One answer sheet for your MCQs, second answer sheet for your DT, descriptive questions, and third answer sheet will be for your IDT descriptive questions, right? And what types of questions will be there, that I have told you. Now see, this 15 marks question will be a big question. This will incorporate many concepts of that particular subject. For example, if I am talking about direct tax 15 marks compulsory question, question number 1. So in that first question itself, the entire DT will be covered, and different concepts from different chapters will be merged together in this one question. Likewise, the same thing will happen in IDT. Different concepts of entire indirect tax will be merged, and they will be asked in the single compulsory question. But this question number 2 to question number 4 here, and question number 6 to question number 8, which are there for how many marks? 6 marks. So it can be anything. Question number 2A, B, or it can be question number 3A, 3B, and 3C. One question will be for 2 marks, and these question will be for 4 marks. Or this question will be for 5 marks, or this question will be for 5 marks. Right? So in the question itself, you will be getting small questions, sub questions. Okay? So this will be your paper pattern. Now, coming to our subject now. See, the taxation paper will be like this, but what is the subject itself? First, you will have to understand the subject, because till the time you will not understand the subject, you will not, love the subject. And if you love the subject, definitely you are going to excel in this subject. So my job will be to make you fall in love with this subject. Okay, and that we'll see after the end of my lectures, after the end of the syllabus. You will tell me only that out of all the subjects you have studied, this subject is your favorite subject. And that is my guarantee to you. But for that, I have already told you what you all are supposed to do. Everyone, done? Okay, now please pay attention. See, we'll now enter into the subject itself. Okay, paper pattern I have already discussed. Now tell me, taxation means tax. What is the meaning of tax? First of all, we are supposed to understand this. So, if you have heard about this term, everywhere, all around us, we are completely surrounded by this word tax. Whatever we consume, we are paying tax on that. We are going by road, we pay road tax. We are buying some property, we are paying stamp duty. We are earning some income, on that we are paying some tax. Okay, we are buying some goods, on that also we are paying tax. We are taking some services, on that also we are paying tax. Okay, almost everything. If you are having a property, you are paying municipal taxes, you are paying property taxes, corporation taxes. So everywhere, all around you, you are completely surrounded by this word tax. Okay, and see, it is very important for us as an individual, not as a chartered accountancy student or as a chartered accountant, but as an individual also, we are, required to understand this term, because we are surrounded by it. Everywhere we can see this. And if we are a CA student, then it is expected from us. The generally society and perceives us that we may know something or not, but we must be knowing tax. A CA degree is a synonym of a tax expert. Okay. So if you are saying that you are a chartered accountant, people perceive you that you are a taxation expert. The perception of the people is like that. So when you will become a taxation expert, till the time you don't understand the basics, and these basics are very important if you want to, study ahead. In your final CA also, see in inter, both the subjects are for 50 marks each. Direct tax 50 marks, indirect tax 50 marks, but when you will go to final CA, no, direct tax will become 100 marks and indirect tax will also become 100 marks. So those 100 marks, both the subjects, you will be able to, understand those subjects in an advanced manner only if your basics are clear here. So intermediate is not just an examination to pass, it is an examination which you are appearing with your knowledge. So if you take that knowledge, carry that knowledge to your final CA, only then you will be able to understand the final CA taxation, which is huge in volume also, and that is complicated also. But those complications will not affect you a lot if you are making your base clear here only. So my first target would be to make the base clear here only. But the base will be clear only if you are, into this subject. So first of all, I would like to ask a simple question, that what is the meaning of tax? Okay, so whatever you know, you are free to give me the answers. Welcome Raj Lakshmi. How are you? And I have requested everyone to keep the videos on, so it will be great if you all also keep the video on. Okay. Now tell me, come on. You can give me the answer. What is the meaning of tax? Okay, there are different meanings, okay, which you all can give me. Okay. So please participate and tell me what is the meaning of tax. You can write down anything. Okay. Compulsory contribution to fund the public expenditure. Very good. Very good. Okay. Anything else? Anyone would like to contribute to this? Honey, what do you think? Okay. Revenue to the government. Very good. Raj Lakshmi, you also can put your answer over here. Okay. Now please listen to me very carefully. Okay. See, the meaning of tax is, tax is a financial charge, or you may say financial levy. Levy means charge, charge means levy. Okay. So tax is a financial charge made by whom? Made by the government. It is a financial charge. Government is charging some money. Government is charging some money. That means financial charge. So the government is charging this on what? Government is creating a charge. Government is charging. Government is levying the tax on what? This charge can be on any product, meaning any goods, or it can be on services, or it can be on any activity, or it can be on income, it can be on wealth, it can be on property, etc., etc., etc. There are many things on which the government can put a financial charge. Okay, so it can be our income. On this income, the government is creating a charge, financial charge on my income by the government. There can be a financial charge on the services which I am taking. There can be a financial charge on the goods or product which I am consuming. There can be a financial charge on some activity. For example, if I am doing an activity of import and export, so importing the goods in Indian territory and exporting the goods out of the territory of India, this is an activity. On this import and export activity also the government might, create a financial charge. If I'm having a property, on that property also the government can charge some amount. Or if I'm buying and selling the property, on that also, if I'm using the road, the government can charge the tax. So there are n number of things on which the government can create this charge. So any financial charge created by the government on different things, like on products, on services, on some activities, on income, on wealth, on property, etc., etc. But this financial charge will be created by the government, under any law, only then it will be treated as tax. So in order to call some financial charge as a tax in India, it must be charged by the government on different things, but it must be charged under any law. So there has to be a law in India, and as per that law only the government can charge on these items, and only then that charge will be treated as what? Tax. See, any financial charge will be treated as tax only if that financial charge is as per the law. Government does not have any power to charge some amount from you if the government is not authorized by any law. Because you know that in India, what is the supreme legislation, which is the biggest law in India? You might have heard about the Constitution of India, right? Have you heard about Constitution of India? So that Constitution gives power, it gives rights and responsibilities to the citizen, and it also gives the rights and responsibilities and the powers to the governments. So when I talk about the Constitution, in the Constitution of India, there are many articles. Okay, so under the Constitution, there is Article 265. Article 265. And this article says that no taxes in India can be levied and collected without the authority of law. So this article puts a restriction on the power of the government. See, India is a country where there are two types of governments. To run the entire country, there is one government known as central government. But to run a specific state, there is a government at every state level also. So we have state governments also. So since we are having two types of governments in India, and the government does not exploit its citizens of India, the government are put under some restrictions also. See, to make the nation run, to make the country run smoothly, the governments are given powers also, but those powers are to be used responsibly. Okay, so the governments are also put in some restriction. So this article 265 puts a restriction on the power of the government to levy what? Taxes, to collect what? Taxes. Because if this article 265 was not there, what would have happened? Just imagine, the government would have wanted to charge tax. If you stand up, then the government would have told you, okay, you are standing up, no, pay tax. We are charging tax on persons standing up. If you are, for example, if you are taking, oxygen, you are breathing. If the government would want, government would start charging tax on your breathing also. It can charge tax on anything which the government would want. So charging the taxes from the citizen is something which is a power given to the government. That power needs to be exercised responsibly. And to put a restriction on that, what they have said, that Article 265 says that in India, no taxes can be levied or even collected without the authority of law. That means if the government wants to charge tax, then government will get that power from a law, and if the government is authorized by a law, only then the government can charge what? Taxes from you. If there is no law authorizing the government to charge the tax from you, collect the tax from you, you can absolutely deny the government that, okay, government, I am not going to pay this tax to you. Why? Because you are not authorized by the law to charge this tax from me or collect this tax from me. Tell me which law has given you the power to levy this tax and collect this tax from you. If there is a law, you are duty bound to pay that. But if there is no law authorizing the government to levy and collect these kind of taxes, you are not at all required to pay that tax. See, as a chartered accountant, if you will be, if you will become a chartered accountant and you will start your office, some client will come to your office and that client will tell you, what? That I've got this notice from the government and government has government is asking this tax from me. At least you are aware that government charges tax as per any law only. So there has to be some law according to which the government will be charging tax from you. And you as a chartered accountant will be knowing that, okay, as per this law, the government is charging this tax from my client. And now you are supposed to learn that law, so that you can save taxes for your client also. Understanding? So first of all, what we have discussed, that what is the meaning of tax? What is the meaning of tax? Tax means any financial charge made by the government. It is a financial charge which is made by the government under any law, and this financial charge can be on any product, any goods, any services, any activity, income, wealth, property, etc., etc., etc. Understanding what I am trying to tell you? Okay. So this is the basic meaning of tax. And if there is some levy by the government which is not as per any law, you can absolutely deny paying that amount to the government. Because if something is charged from you on the name of tax, it has to be under a law. Understanding? And that is given in Article 265. Okay? I hope this basic understanding of tax, this word tax, you have understood it. Okay? Now tell me, are you going to pay taxes to the government? Yes, because government is authorized by some law to charge and collect some taxes from you. So you are going to pay some taxes to the government. Why the government would take the tax from you? Come on, tell me. What is the reason? Why the government is so much, excited to levy and collect the taxes from you? What government will do with this money? So a very important thing comes here, that see, to run this entire country, government has to spend money. For example, government has to spend money on infrastructure facilities, like railways are there, bridges are there, dams are there, roads are there. So to construct them, to maintain them, government needs to spend some money. For the defense of the nation, the government will have to spend the money. Police protection, army, navy, air force. There are very many, defense equipments which we have to buy. For those defense equipments, the defense staff, which is, protecting our country, our officers, to pay the salary to the officers, army officers, navy officers, officers of the air force, police are there, police people are there, to pay the, salaries to the police. Government needs money. Railways are running. To run the railways, government will need money. For the protection of the environment also, preservation of the natural resources also. There are n number of areas where the government will be spending the money. So to run this entire nation, there are a lot who will be running this country. The government is responsible to run the country. But to run the country, the government will have to spend the money also on different things. But how does the government will earn the money to spend to run the nation? So the government will be earning its revenue from many sources. There are many sources through which the government might be earning the money. But out of all the sources where the government is earning the money, the major source of income comes from collection of taxes. And those taxes are collected in two ways. One is the direct way of collecting the taxes. Those type of taxes are known as direct taxes. And another way of collecting the taxes is indirect way of collecting the taxes. Those type of taxes are known as indirect taxes. I hope the things are getting clear. Okay. Now come on, tell me one thing. I'll ask you one thing, that okay, I am paying taxes to the government. For what particular reason I am paying the taxes to the government, I come to know. But whatever taxes the government will be taking from me will be taking by applying two methods. One method is directly taking the taxes and another method is indirectly taking the taxes. So tell me, what is direct tax? What is indirect tax? Direct taxes are nothing but those taxes which are directly recovered from the taxpayer. You are going directly and paying to the government, or government is coming directly and taking it from you. And indirect taxes are those taxes which you don't go directly and pay to the government. Rather, government is also not coming directly to you to collect those taxes from you. But ultimately, there are two ways in which the taxes are collected. It is better to collect certain taxes in a direct manner. But if we collect few taxes in direct manner, it will pinch the taxpayer and the taxpayer might evade those taxes. Hence, those taxes should not be collected directly. Those taxes should be collected indirectly so that the taxpayer also does not come to know that he has paid the taxes. What is the best example of direct tax in India? Income tax. And what is the best example of indirect tax in India? GST. See, to increase your syllabus, there are two types of taxes, not because the institute wants to increase your syllabus. Two types of taxes are there, direct and indirect taxes are there. These are the ways, two different ways in which the government collects what? Taxes from you. One is a direct way. So those taxes which are directly collected from you, best example is income tax, that you learn separately. And second way is indirect tax, those taxes which are indirectly collected from you. The best example is GST, that you learn separately. Understanding? Now come on, tell me, direct tax are those taxes which are directly charged from the taxpayer. That means taxpayer is going to directly pay this tax to the government. Or if he is not paying, the government will directly go to the taxpayer and collect it from him. The burden of the direct tax cannot be shifted. Burden of the direct taxes cannot be shifted. Meaning what? If you are liable to pay that tax will go out from your pocket only. That means the person liable to pay will also bear those taxes. He cannot shift the burden of this tax to someone else. For example, if I am earning income and I am liable to pay tax on that income, I cannot shift my burden of income tax on someone else. I cannot tell the government that on my income, if I am liable to pay tax, please take that tax from my neighbor. No, the tax will also go from my pocket. Who is liable? Myself. So on whom the burden of that tax will fall? Myself. I cannot shift that burden to someone else. That tax will go from my pocket and it will pinch me. For example, if I'm earning 1 lakh rupees of income, so government will say that you have earned that 1 lakh rupees of income. Out of that 1 lakh rupees, you pay 30,000 tax. So 1 lakh coming in my pocket, and out of that 1 lakh, I will have to take out 30,000 and I will have to give it to the government. On whose pocket the burden is falling? On my pocket the burden is falling. Who is liable? I am liable. Who is bearing? I am bearing. Can I shift that burden to someone else? Can I take that 30,000 tax from someone else's pocket and give it to the government? The answer is no. This is the beauty of direct tax. And if I have earned that 1 lakh rupees of income which is in my pocket, if I am not taking out 30,000 to pay to the government, don't worry, government will come. It will put their hands in my pocket and they will snatch away 30,000 and go. Because the burden is on me. I cannot shift that burden. So there are two terms. One is known as impact and one is known as incidence. What did I say? Impact and incidence. Incidence means who is liable. And impact means who is bearing. So impact and incidence of direct taxes falls on the same person. Friends, impact and incidence of the direct taxes falls on the same person. That means the person who is liable to pay direct taxes will only be bearing those taxes. Hence, the burden cannot be shifted. Now, let's take the example of indirect taxes. As I said, that indirect taxes are those taxes. Don't worry, you are not supposed to write down anything. Don't worry. No need to write. Whatever I am speaking now, each and everything I will show you on the screen. You just focus, okay? And you'll come to know every single word I am uttering from my mouth will be in my notes, which I'll be showing you. Okay, don't worry at all. But right now, I just want you all to focus here, okay? Please pay attention. And see, from my, subsequent lectures, no, I'll tell you to take the running notes also. From my subsequent lecture, start doing it. But today is the first lecture. I don't want to put you in, too much of writing and something like this. Today, we are supposed to make our, foundation very strong so that we are moving ahead with confidence in this subject. Okay. Now, pay attention. So, as I was talking about indirect tax. So, if I talk about indirect taxes are those taxes which are directly paid or indirectly paid? Indirectly paid. Meaning that the liability to pay the taxes on someone else, but the burden of those taxes falls on someone else. Hence, beautifully, the burden of these taxes can be shifted on someone else. Let's take a very basic example from your day-to-day life. I am taking this example, okay, no? So, say for example, you are going to a provision store nearby your house. You were feeling hungry, so you thought that let us make Maggie, and Maggie was not there at home. So you went to a provision store and you asked that provision store that give me a packet of Maggie. And for example, the Maggi packet, the cost of that packet was 20,000. MRP was 20, sorry, not 20,000, it is 20 rupees. Okay, who will eat 20,000 Maggi? I will not eat. But 20 rupees was the MRP. Now, you gave 20 rupees to the shopkeeper and you are bringing 20 rupees Maggi with yourself. So, according to you, what is the price of Maggi? 20. But when you came home, no, you are looking at the packet, you came to know that MRP, which was printed on the packet, rupees 20, besides that something was written in the bracket. Have you seen it? Inclusive of all taxes. So MRP rupees 20, which you paid to the shopkeeper to buy the Maggi, you are thinking that you have paid 20 rupees for Maggi only. But no, my dear friends, you have paid that 20 rupees for Maggi. That 20 includes taxes also. Knowingly or unknowingly, in that 20, whatever tax component is there, no, you are paying it to the shopkeeper, and ultimately that shopkeeper collects that tax from you and gives it to the government. So the government wants to take that tax from you, but government is not directly coming to you to take that tax. Government is putting that liability to pay the taxes on that shopkeeper, who in turn shifts the burden on you, collects the taxes from you and gives to the government. For example, in that 20 rupees Maggi packet, 2 rupees taxes are there. So how much you have paid to the shopkeeper? 20. Out of that 20, 2 rupees is tax and 18 rupees is for that product. 18 rupees shopkeeper will keep with himself and 2 rupees tax which he has taken from you, he will give it to the government. What happened here? Government did not come to you and government did not tell you that you pay taxes to us. Liability to pay tax was on the shopkeeper, because any supply of goods, on that taxes are levied. Any sale of goods, on that taxes are levied. But those taxes are not levied on us. Those taxes are levied on that shopkeeper who is selling that product. But that shopkeeper smartly shifts that burden to the consumer. He collects those taxes from our pocket and pass the same to the government. And even the government wants that thing to happen. Just imagine if the government starts taking these kind of taxes directly from you. That no, government knows that ultimately the tax is going to come from your pocket only. But what if the government directly starts collecting these taxes from you? You will not be voluntarily paying those taxes because it will pinch you. Knowing that you are going and buying some product and with that product you are supposed to pay some tax, you are not going to buy that commodity. You are not going to buy that product. Or even if you will go to buy that product, you will not go from the front door, you will go from backside door to the shopkeeper and tell him that, okay, I am coming to you, give me the product, I will not pay tax, okay. So you will start evading taxes. And just imagine collecting these kind of taxes directly from the consumers. It will create so much of administrative burden on the government also. Just imagine collection will become so difficult that, and difficult as well as expensive, that collecting those taxes from you, the amount spent on that collection will be more as compared to the collection itself. And ultimately, if it pinches you, you will try to avoid consumption. You will try to evade the taxes. So it is always better that these type of taxes, consumption taxes, are collected from you directly? No, indirectly. I guess the things are getting understood. Now, for example, there is a manufacturer. Manufacturer is manufacturing a goods and selling. For example, 1000 rupees. The value of the goods is 1000 rupees. Okay. It includes profit and everything. To whom the manufacturer will sell? Wholesaler. But at the time of sale, the manufacturer will be liable to pay tax to the government. For example, the tax rate is 10%. So on 1000 rupees of sale, the manufacturer will be liable to pay 100 rupees of tax. What the manufacturer will do, you know? He will sell the product worth 1000 rupees to the wholesaler. He will make a bill in which he will write down what is the price of the goods, 1000 plus 10% tax, 100, total bill of 1100, total bill 1100 along with the products given to the wholesaler. Wholesaler will give how much? 1100. Out of that, 1000 belongs to the manufacturer and 100 belongs to the government, given to the government. Who was liable to pay tax? Manufacturer. But did the manufacturer pay that tax from his own pocket? No. He shifted the burden to the wholesaler. Now tell me, what is the cost of the goods to the manufacturer? Sorry, what is the cost of the goods to the wholesaler? If you will say 1100, then that is wrong. The cost is still 1000. Product cost is still 1000. 100 extra which he has given is not for the product, it is the tax which he has paid on consumption. But ultimately he is not going to consume. What wholesaler will do? He'll sell the same product to the retailer. And to retailer, for example, he is selling for 1500 rupees. So at that time, the wholesaler will be liable to pay tax, 10% to the government. So he'll do a simple thing. He'll make a bill, value of the goods 1500 plus 10% tax amounting to 150, total bill will be 1650. Out of that 1500 he'll keep with himself, 150 he'll pay. No, out of that 100 he have already paid, he will take the credit. How much remaining? 50. That 50 he'll pay to the government. But ultimately entire 150 burden passed on to the retailer. Now what the retailer will do? Retailer will take that 150 plus some extra tax on his value addition from the final consumer. So ultimately the entire tax burden goes to the final consumer. But final consumer is never made liable to pay tax. Government does not go directly to that consumer, or consumer does not directly go to the government to pay that tax. But ultimately that tax from the pocket of the consumer only goes to the government, because he is the person who is ultimately bearing that burden. So the beauty of indirect tax is what? Indirect taxes, the burden can be shifted. Impact and incidence does not fall on the same person, it falls on the different persons. Incidence means liability falls on someone else, and impact means burden falls on some other person. Got it? So this was your direct tax and indirect tax. Okay. Now one more small, differentiation is there. See, whenever you talk about direct taxes, direct taxes are always progressive in nature. Progressive means the more income you will earn, the more taxes you will pay. Because direct taxes are income linked. These are taxes on the person's incomes. So the more income you will earn, the more direct taxes you will pay. For example, if you are not earning any income, you are not going to pay any tax. But if I am earning 5 lakh rupees, I will pay tax. So as compared to you, I am paying more because I am earning more. What if my friend who is earning 10 lakh rupees of income, is he going to pay the same tax, or will he pay more taxes as compared to me? More, because his income is more. So as and when the income would increase, the amount of tax would also increase. Hence, the direct taxes are progressive in nature. Now, what about indirect taxes? Indirect taxes are regressive in nature. Regressive means the amount of indirect taxes which you are supposed to pay does not depend on how much you are earning. For example, that Maggi packet which you went to that shopkeeper to buy, how much was the cost of that Maggi packet? MRP 20 rupees. And in that 20, 2 rupees was tax. So from you, 20 rupees was taken, and in that 20, 2 rupees of tax you are also paying right now, but you are not earning any income. What if I go and I buy the same Maggi packet? Its MRP will be same 20 rupees, and in that 20, even I am also paying 2 rupees tax. But can you see that I am earning income more than you? But what if Mr. Ambani or Mr. Adani, he is going to the same shopkeeper and buying the same Maggi packet? Even Mr. Ambani and Mr. Adani, who is earning huge income, even he will pay 2 rupees of tax. So here there is no disparity, the tax which is going to be paid by you, that same tax will be paid by me. That same tax on that product will be paid by Mr. Ambani, Mr. Adani. So based on the income, these taxes do not increase. Getting my point, everyone? So these are indirect taxes. So we started our discussion from a very basic thing, that what is a tax. Okay, now let me show you. See, this is the first chapter which we are going to do together. Okay, so the chapter, name of the chapter is Introduction and Basic Concepts. Okay, if you will start studying this chapter from your ICI study mat now, trust me on this, you will not understand anything. But you have to trust me on this one thing, that whatever your ICI study material contains, no, every damn single thing I have covered in my handwritten notes. Don't worry about it. But I know that since last 14 years I am teaching the students. Just now I have, come on the online platform, but I have been teaching face-to-face students on offline mode. I know since 14 years that what is the content of the ICI study mat, which content is to be studied, and in what sequence it has to be studied. There are certain things which are given in the first chapter itself in the ICI study material, but you are not ready in the very first lecture to understand those things, because those things require understanding of income tax provisions in detail. But all those things are given in the first chapter. And if you will go and read that first chapter from ICI study material, no, you will come to know that, okay, my God, I am gone. I don't know anything. Your confidence will go away. So please read these notes. These are Bible for you. Nothing will go beyond this. Trust me on this. Okay. So this first chapter, see what I have done before writing the entire notes. I have first written down that what all things we are going to cover in this chapter. Okay. Section wise, topic wise. This section, this topic. This section, this topic. Everything I have covered. Okay. Now the first thing which we were discussing was what? See here. Meaning and classification of tax. What is the meaning and classification of tax? That we are learning first. So what is the meaning of tax? Did I tell you tax is a financial charge? Charge means levy. Okay. Financial charge by the government. And if it is a financial charge, it can be a financial charge on any product, any activity, any service, income, wealth, etc., etc., etc. It can be on n number of things. Right now, whatever you are seeing around you, no, except one thing. You are breathing. Are you paying any tax on this? No. Why? Because there is no law in India which has given the power to the government to charge tax on breathing. Hence, you are breathing and you are not paying any tax. Understanding? Ready? You are drinking water, no, on that water also there is water tax. Just imagine. You are walking on the roads. It does not belong to anyone, but you are walking on the roads. You are driving cars on the roads. On that roads also you are paying tax. So you name it and you have it. You name the thing, you are having a tax on it. Okay. So it can be a financial charge on anything, anything. But that financial charge to be called as tax has to be made by the government under any law. The law should give the power to the government to create this charge, and to collect it from you. How can I so confidently tell you this? Because Constitution of India, Article 265 restricts that no taxes in India can be levied as well as collected without the authority of law. And that I'll show you here. Come on, see. Constitution of India, Article 265. Read it. That is in front of your screen. Don't read the second part, only read this part because I am yet to discuss about this. Okay. So this is the reason why I have written here what under any law. Okay. If some charge is there made by the government and that charge government is not authorized by law to make that charge, then it is not a tax, it is something else. Okay. Now pay attention. Why do you pay taxes to the government? There are many reasons why the government want money. There are many places where the government spends money. So to make the spending, to spend the money on various expenditures, government wants income. So from where the government earns income? Many sources, but the basic source of income for the government, basic source means main source of income for the government is levy and collection of taxes. And those taxes which the government will be earning will be spent for different reasons. And those reasons are, come on, see, look at this. For providing benefits like education, health care facilities, or various other assistance to economically backward classes of the society. Here the government might be spending money, or the development and maintenance of infrastructural facilities. So for infrastructural facilities, the development of infrastructural facilities and maintenance of infrastructural facilities, government will be spending money. So to finance that, the money will come from taxes. Then defense of the nation and various contingencies also. So to meet certain, unforeseen events, unforeseen expenditures. For example, there is a flood in some state. So government did not think that there will be a flood, but the government will have to provide for that contingency also, no? Because of that flood, there will be a lot of, losses which will be happening. So to compensate the people, the government will have to spend some money, give the compensations also. So there will be a contingency fund which will be used by the government for such kind of contingency. Where that money will come from? Taxes will be used for these kind of things. Then next will be preservation of natural resources and places of artistic or historic importance, etc. Mahabalipuram, as you said. Okay, then there is Gateway of India. Then there is Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar, Lal Killa. There are many places of artistic and historic importance. Natural resources are also there in India. To preserve them, the government will have to spend money. So the money goes in these areas, but the money to be spent in these areas majorly come from taxes. And that is the reason why we have to pay the taxes to the government. Okay, now tell me, the taxes will be taken from the taxpayers in two ways. I told you, no? First one is direct and second one is indirect. And the difference also we have studied. Okay, now come on, see. Direct taxes are tax on person's income or wealth. They are paid directly to the government. Government will come and directly take it from your pocket, or you go and pay it directly from your pocket. Meaning, incidence and impacts falls on the same person and burden cannot be shifted. However, the indirect taxes are taxes on consumption of goods or services. And they are not paid directly to the government, they are paid indirectly to the government. You will be paying it to someone, but not the government. Government will be collecting it from someone, but not directly from you. But ultimately, it will go from your pocket only. Meaning, someone else is liable to pay, but ultimately the burden will be on your pocket. Meaning that impact and incidence falls on different person. Hence, the burden can be shifted. And tell me, direct taxes are progressive and indirect taxes are regressive. The best example of direct taxes in India is income tax, taxes on undisclosed incomes and foreign assets. This tax, no, taxes on undisclosed incomes and foreign assets, that you will learn in CA final. Okay. Then there are stamp duty which you have to pay, property tax which you have to pay. Stamp duty you usually pay to the state government, property taxes you pay to the local authorities under whose jurisdiction your property falls. But these type of taxes are directly recovered from you. You go and directly pay to the government. Okay. Now, GST is the best example of what? Indirect tax. There is one more example of indirect tax is customs duty. but this custom duty is not there in your syllabus right now, that you will be learning in CA final. Okay, but right now under the CA intermediate syllabus, you will be learning direct tax and only income tax you will study. Under the inter syllabus, in your IDT syllabus, you will be learning only GST. Rest everything you will be learning in final CA. Taxes on undisclosed income and foreign assets you will be learning in final CA. Then customs duty you will be learning in final CA. This stamp duty and property taxes you will not learn in final CA, because this is not charged by central government, this is charged by state government as well as local authority. And there are many state governments and many local authorities, they have their own law, own rules for levy and collection of these type of taxes. And at Indian level, see, CA is an India level exam, so they will not expect you to remember the state laws or the laws of local authorities, rules of local authorities. Only one law which is applicable throughout India, they would like you to study that, because this is a national level examination which is conducted, conducted same throughout India. Getting my point? Okay, now come, let's see what our constitution says. Now see, I told you one thing, that no taxes can be levied and collected without the authority of law. Right? No taxes. It cannot be levied also, and neither it can be collected. That Article 265 says. Without the authority of law. That means there has to be some law. This law will authorize the government, and only after getting the authority from the law, the government can levy or collect. Levy or collect what? Taxes. Right? No? So there has to be authority given to the government from a law. Now tell me, who will make the law? Who will make the law? So, sir, government only will make the law, no? Then what is the point of making Article 265? If the government only is given the power to make the law, then don't you think it will become very easy for the government to charge tax on anything? What the government will do? Government wants to charge tax on your breathing. And government is only empowered to make a law. So there is a restriction that the government cannot levy and collect taxes on anything without the authority of law, and that authority of law, without that the government cannot charge. But making the law is a power to the government. If, just example, if power to make law is also to the government, what the government will do? First, the government will make a law on its own, and from that law it will give the power to itself to charge tax on your breathing. Then Article 265 does not make any sense only, no? So law making power is never given to the governments. Please remember this. This thing is a basic thing which we have learned in our school times. Law making body in India is not government. Government are executive body. The laws which are made are to be executed by the government, implemented by the government. Government makes sure that those laws are followed in India. Execution work is done by the government, not the law making work. So the law making power in India is given to whom? Come on, tell me. Who makes the law in India? That is for sure. Government does not make the law in India. But there is some authority in India which makes the law. Who will make the law in India? Constitution of India will give the power to some authority to make those laws in India. Once that law will be made, those laws will be implemented or executed or to be followed. That body is what? Law making power as per Article 245 is given to Parliament and state legislatures. You must have heard about Tamil Nadu State Assembly is there, Gujarat State Assembly is there, Maharashtra State Assembly is there. That is what? State legislatures. In India, there is a parliament. Now, what will happen? These are constitutional authorities. Under the constitution, this is an authority known as parliament. Parliament will make law. Parliament will make law which will be implemented throughout India. So, for the entire nation, there will be one law. On that one law will be made by Parliament. But if some law will be specifically required for the state territory, so to make that law for the territory of the state, the power to make that law is given to the state legislatures. Understanding? On any subject matter, who will make the law? Either the parliament or the state legislature. The power is given under Article 245 that these bodies, parliament or the state legislature, they will make the law. The laws which will be made by the parliament be for the entire territory of India or part of the territory of India. So the law which is to be made applicable to the entire territory of India or any part of the territory of India will be made only by Parliament. But if any law which is to be made applicable for the entire territory of a state or a part of the territory of a state, those laws will be made by state legislature only. Understanding? For the people, of the people, by the people. Have you heard about it? What is Parliament? Parliament is nothing but a body of all the representatives, MPs, who are elected amongst us only, no? So from my constituency, there are many people who are there in my constituency. Out of those people, there are 3-4 people who are fighting election. We all will be choosing the best candidate out of them. And during election, that candidate will win. And now he will, on behalf of us, go to the parliament and this fellow will represent us in the parliament. Likewise, from entire India, from different constituencies, people will come, people will be elected and they will come and the parliament and their body, their collective body will be known as parliament. And the same thing happens in the state also. And they are known as MLAs, member of legislative assemblies. Getting my point? Now what is happening? Who will make the law? See, tell me, whose country is this? My country. Who will run this country? We only will be running this country. How? From us only, few people will go, form the parliament and they will make the law to run the country. Understanding? And out of them, some will be forming the government, central government. So law making power is given to parliament, but from the MPs, few will form the government. Understanding? Which party is having a majority to form the government? So the MPs of that party who is having the majority will form the government. But the government does not make law. Government only makes the law implemented. Implementation part is with the government. Getting my point? Same thing happens at the state level also. Now tell me, if the parliament has the power to make law on any matter, or state legislature is also having power to make law on any matter, right? So tell me one thing. There is one matter on which parliament has also made a law and state legislature has also made a law. On this same matter, if both are making their own law, central government is, parliament is saying that this is a matter on which there should be only one law applicable throughout India and which will be implemented by the central government in India. But state legislature is saying no, 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 no. On this matter, we want our own law, which we will make on our own and which we will get it implemented in our state through the state government. Just imagine if on the same subject matter, parliament is also making a law and the state legislature is also making a law, then don't you think both the governments will fight? Central and state governments will fight? That we are superior, no, we are superior. So there has to be a clear demarcation of this power. On these subject matters, state legislature will not interfere. The law making power on these matters will be with parliament only. That means on these matters, there will be only one law in India made by the parliament and that will be implemented by the central government. But there will be certain matters on which the exclusive power to make law will be given to the state legislature. Parliament cannot interfere here. Getting my point? On these subject matters, every state legislature has their own power to make law, and if the state legislature is making that law for its own state, then the government of that state will now be responsible to implement that law in that state territory. So these subject matter only parliament, these subject matters only state legislature. There has to be a demarcation, otherwise both the governments will fight. So where that demarcation is given, that demarcation is given in Article 246. Now under this Article 246, there is one schedule, schedule number 7. And in this schedule, there are 3 lists. List 1, also known as Union List. List 2, also known as State List. And List 3, also known as Concurrent List. I hope you all are understanding. Okay. Now tell me one thing. The list 1 is known as Union List. In this list, there are many subject matters. And these subject matters which are given in the list are known as entries. The technical term is what? Entries. Every entry will have a subject matter. So all the entries means all the subject matters which are enumerated in Union List, exclusive power to make law on these subject matters is with Parliament. State legislature cannot make their law on these subject matters. Only one law will be made on these subject matters which will be applicable throughout India. Understanding? All the territories of all the state, entire India, only one law will be made on this matter, and that law will be made by Parliament. Now, if I'll go to list 2, that is state list, there are many entries here, means many subject matters here also. On all these subject matters which are given in list 2, the exclusive power to make law on these subject matters lies with the state legislature. Parliament cannot come and interfere here. Every state legislature has their own powers to make law on these subject matters. So once the state legislature will make law on these subject matter, those laws will be implemented in the state territory by the state government. Now if you go to concurrent list, concurrent list, there are many subject matters. On these subject matters, both have the power. Even the Parliament can have their own law on this subject matter, as well as the state legislature, state can also have their own law on this subject matter. The best example is pollution control. Central Pollution Control Act is also there, and every state pollution control act is separate. But both are, in parity with each other. Usually on these subject matters, the laws made are similar. With parliament, the state legislature will also copy that same law. And if at all there is some discrepancy between the state law and center law, the center law will prevail. Understanding? Akshaya, are you getting the point? Sure? Understanding? Rajalakshmi, tell me please. Okay. Now pay attention here. Why I have told you all this, Because, see, I want to talk about list 1. Which list? List 1. Now in this list, there are many subject matters. All these subject matters are known as what? Entries. So out of all these entries, there is one entry, entry number 82. So before this 81 entries are there, and after this there are other entries also, but I am not concerned about other entries. I am concerned only about entry number 82. Now this entry number 82 of the union list, list 1 gives power to make law for levy and collection of tax on incomes other than agricultural income. Now when I saw entry number 82 now, I came to know that entry number 82 is giving power to the parliament, that parliament has a power through this entry number 82, parliament has a power to make a law. For what? For levy and collection of taxes on all the incomes except agricultural incomes. So now who is having the power to make law for levy and collection of tax on all incomes except agricultural income? So to make law which will speak about levy and collection of tax on income, to make law, the power is given to parliament, and parliament exercised this power, and parliament has made a law, and the name of that law is Income Tax Act 1961, which you are going to study with me. So if someone asks you that from where did Income Tax Act came from, you should be at least aware about this thing, that parliament gave the power, union list gave the power to the parliament to make law for levy and collection of taxes on income. By exercising that power through entry number 82, exercising that power, parliament has made this law, and this law is made for what? Levy and collection of taxes on all incomes except agricultural income. So the act is made by whom? Parliament. That means for the entire territory of India, all the incomes everywhere in India, what income tax will be charged and collected as per this law. And who will do that? Central government. Now central government will have the power through this law to levy and collect taxes on all incomes throughout the territory of India except agricultural income. So they have covered all the incomes, but why not the agricultural income? They should have covered the agricultural income also, no, here. Then why they have left agricultural income? Don't you think that there is list 2 also? So making a law for levy and collection of tax on agricultural income, law making power for charge of income tax on agricultural income is given in list number 2, entry number 46. Entry number 46 of list 2, state list, has given the power to the state legislatures to make a law in India for levy and collection of taxes on agricultural income. And just imagine, if that is not segregated from here, then what will happen? For agricultural charge of tax on agricultural income, there will be a separate law in the state. And even as per Income Tax Act, the central government will also charge tax on that income. So out of all the incomes, only agricultural income is a subject matter of state. But rest all the other incomes are the subject matter of center. All the incomes in India will be charged to tax as per this law. This law gives the power to the central government. See, who has made the law? Parliament, for the entire territory of India. Now, to get the people follow this law will become the responsibility of the central government. Now, central government will implement this law in India. So, the central government will get the power through this law to charge tax on your income and collect that tax from you. Understanding? Now, for example, if I am in Maharashtra, I will be earning income in Maharashtra. Will I pay tax on that income? Yes, as per Income Tax Act 1961, to Maharashtra government or to central government? Central government. For example, if I'm in Kerala, I'm earning income in Kerala. Will I pay income tax on that income? Yes, as per this act. To Kerala government or to central government? Central government. If I'm in Gujarat, will I earn income here? Yes. Will I pay tax on this income? Yes, as per this law only. But to Gujarat government or central government? Central government. So, income earned anywhere in India other than agriculture income, on that income tax will be levied and collected by the central government only as per this law, because this law gives the power to the central government to levy and collect taxes on all the incomes in India. And central government is getting this power through this law, but this law is not made by central government, this law is made by parliament. Understanding? And where did the parliament get this power to make this law? Through entry number 82 of Union List. Got it? Everyone? So if you would have studied your Income Tax Act earlier from someone else, I don't think that you all must be aware about these things. In my first lecture itself, I am showing you that what I can teach. Okay. So this speaks about the quality which I am going to deliver to you. Okay. And in my subsequent lectures, I promise you, you'll fall in love with this subject. That is my guarantee to you. All I want you to do, that every day without fail, please revise the syllabus. Whatever we have studied in class, it will not take more than 45 minutes to revise. Revise everything and sit for the next lecture. You will enjoy the next lecture also, because it will be in link only. Because whatever you have studied, you have revised, and then you are sitting for the next sessions. And just see that how much confidence you are getting for your exams then. And practice would be required, I am telling you, from the very first lecture. See, ultimately what happens now? If you study anything 50 times, 50 times you have revised the entire syllabus. But what is the point of revising 50 times if you are not able to write it? And ultimately, no, your examiner doesn't know that how much you have studied. He'll only come to know your knowledge, your content from whatever you have written in that answer sheet. So if you practice more about solving the questions, writing, what will happen? Your perfection will grow in presenting your answers, writing, your writing speed will enhance, your mistakes will, reduce, so that your paper will be presentable, you will be efficiently attempting the question, and ultimately in the examination, those 3 hours you are supposed to write down only. Understood? So do the practice of those things which matter the most. I'll tell you, I'll give you extra questions also for practice, PDFs. Okay. But all the questions of ICI will be solving together in the class. But extra questions which I am giving you, I'm going to give you, those questions will be hand-picked questions. Or some questions which I have, mixed and matched. And those questions will give you extra confidence that, okay, I have solved few questions like this. Okay, what sir has done, 2-3 questions from ICI, he has merged and he has made this new question. So that if a question like this will come, you are absolutely ready in exams. Getting my point? Okay. Now we'll be studying this Income Tax Act 1961 only. Okay. Now pay attention. Whatever I have discussed. See, Article 245 gives the power to the. It gives the power to make what? Law. And that power is given through Article 245 to Parliament and state legislature. But that power is divided into 3 parts. On these subject matter, who will make law? On these subject matter, who will make law? Right now? So, Article 246 empowers the Parliament and the state legislature to make laws with respect to various matters, including levy and collection of taxes. These matters are mentioned under 3 lists, enumerated in 7th schedule to the Article 246. Now, come. List number 1, list number 2, list number 3, everything which I have been, writing there is here only. Okay. Now, that is Parliament has exclusive power to make laws on the matters contained in list 1. Then state legislature has exclusive power to make laws on the matters contained in list 2. And Parliament as well as state legislature both have power to make laws on the matters contained in list 3. Now, are we concerned about these 2 lists? No, I'm concerned about this list. List number 1. List number 1. List number 1. What will happen? List number 1. Entry number 82 of union list. List number 1, union list, entry number 82 has empowered the Parliament to make law with respect to levy and collection of taxes on incomes other than agricultural incomes. By exercising this power, the Parliament has enacted the Income Tax Act 1961, which has authorized the central government to levy and collect income tax. Done? Okay, now please pay attention. See, whatever I have written here, just let me know, do I have to explain this or you know this already? On any subject matter, if there is one law which is to be made applicable for the whole of India, then on that subject matter, who will make law? Parliament. And that law which is made by the Parliament, who will make the people follow that law? That means who will implement that law throughout the territory of India? Central government. Now, if the law is to be made applicable in a particular state, so who will be, authorized to make that law? State legislature. And in the territory of that state, who will make the people follow that law? The state government of that state. Understood, no? Okay. Now, and why I have written this separately? Because if someone asks who makes the law in India, you are never going to say that central government or state government, okay? Who is making the law? Parliament or state legislature. Central government and state government are only executive bodies. Their duty is to implement or execute the laws made by Parliament and state legislature. That's it. Okay? Come on. Now, let's now embark on the journey of Income Tax Act. We are going to study Income Tax Act for 50 marks. So, for your kind information, this Income Tax Act is an ocean. Very big, huge law, huge. huge also and complicated also. So our institute cannot expect the students at inter level to come prepared with the entire income tax law, because that is hardly understood by existing chartered accountants also. So you cannot be expected as a student to learn the entire income tax act and come for CA intermediate exam, because this will be the law which you are going to study for the first time in your career. So this entire law you are not supposed to study. The few things out of this law are made part of your CA intermediate syllabus. Only those things you are supposed to study, and you are supposed to come for the exams. Okay. So what thing we are supposed to study? We are supposed to study Income Tax Act only. But if you say that you are going to study Income Tax Act only and go for the exams, meaning that if you want to learn income tax law in India, which law in India? Income tax law in India, then that income tax law in India does not have only Income Tax Act. Income Tax Act, the act is the major part of the income tax law in India. That is the base for income tax law. But that is not the only thing which you will be learning in income tax law. In the income tax law, the base you will be studying will be Income Tax Act. But along with this, you will be learning amendments of annual finance acts. See, every year your Income Tax Act gets changed. No, every year it gets amended. New Income Tax Act does not come into existence. The existing Income Tax Act is made applicable with few changes for the next year. Then that year is over. For another year, subsequent year, that same Income Tax Act will be made applicable, but with few changes. But those changes in that Income Tax Act are brought every year through Annual Finance Act. So along with the Income Tax Act, you are supposed to study the changes also, latest changes, so that you are learning the latest Income Tax Act. Getting my point? But sometimes along with the Income Tax Act, latest Income Tax Act, you are supposed to study the income tax rules also, notification and circulars also, and court judgments also on income tax matters. If you learn all these things together, no, then only you can say that you are learning income tax law in India, because all these things are treated as components of income tax law in India. You cannot just read Income Tax Act and go, because you will have to read the Income Tax Act which is latest, along with the rules, along with the notifications and circulars. And to have a proper understanding of any provision, have a proper interpretation of a provision, some court judgments might also help you to understand the provision. So those court judgments are also supposed to be learned. Only if you study all these things, you can say that you are learning income tax law in India. But what will be the base? First of all, the base will be Income Tax Act only. We are going to study Income Tax Act only. But this Income Tax Act which we are going to study, section number 1, section number 2, section number 3, likewise we are moving ahead. Then in one section, there will be an amendment by the Finance Act. Don't worry, in that section itself, while teaching you that section itself, I will tell you in the class itself that see, this section, earlier it was like this, now this is an amendment. So forget this, we are supposed to remember this amended part. Understanding? In some sections which we will go, there will be rules which will be made applicable. So that section will be followed only if you follow these rules. That section will be followed or can be given effect only if we follow these rules. So there is some rule which is applicable to a particular section, applicable to a particular provision. Without following this rule, this section cannot be followed. This section cannot be fulfilled. Then with that section, we'll have to learn this rule also. Don't worry. Wherever necessary, if in any provision of Income Tax Act, if any rule is applicable, which is in our syllabus also, we are going to study that rule also. But sometimes what happens, for any provision of Income Tax Act, there are CBDT circulars, there are notifications by the government, central government. So those circulars and notifications with respect to a particular section, particular provision, those circulars and notification, if applicable for a particular section, if relevant for your exams, we are supposed to study those also. And don't worry, I will tell you that this is a circular, this is a notification for this particular section which we are studying right now. Please remember this circular, please remember this notification regarding this provision. And read these two things, provision along with this notification and circular, read this thing and go for exams. And then in some section, there might be some, interpretation which might be, different. Or in order to have a proper interpretation of that particular section, that we want to know that what this provision exactly want to say. See, if I read this much, then my interpretation is different. If I read this much, then my interpretation becomes a little bit more different. What the court has to say about this provision, because for this provision, there was a dispute earlier between the income tax department and the taxpayer. And that dispute got resolved by the court, and court has given its interpretation about this provision. Now, if I'll go and read that provision, if I'll go and read that judgment, I will have a proper understanding, proper interpretation that what this section wants to say. Wherever required, we'll be learning those court judgments also. Understanding? So this is the way in which the Income Tax Act should be studied. Not just Income Tax Act. Any taxation law in India has to be studied like this only. The basic law, that is the base. Along with that, necessary changes. Along with that, rules. Along with that, notification and circulars, if any. And along with that, to have a proper understanding of the provisions, interpretation of the provisions, we are supposed to read the court judgments also. If we learn all these things together, only then we can say that we are learning income tax law in India. So what will be our base? Income Tax Act. We are going to study Income Tax Act only, 1961. Okay. But wherever required, we are going to study all these things together. Okay. So let's start with Income Tax Act, 1961. Did you know that from where Income Tax Act came from? Where Income Tax Act came from? Entry number 82 of schedule number 7 of article 246. So article 246, schedule number 7, list 1, entry number 82 gave the power to Parliament to make a law for levy and collection of taxes in India other than agriculture income, and that law is Income Tax Act, which we are going to study. Getting my point? Okay. Now come on, tell me one thing. Income Tax Act. How many sections should be there in Income Tax Act? Come on, tell me. Income Tax Act definitely will start from section number 1. Any law will start, section number 1 will be there. If we talk about Contract Act, Contract Act will also start from section number 1. That is section number 1 of Contract Act. Partnership Act, section number 1 will be there. Section number 1 of Partnership Act. But there will be certain number of sections. No, after that number is done, the law is over. So from section number 1 till which section Income Tax Act is there? Section number 1 to section number 298. So the last section in Income Tax Act is section number 298. Wait, no need to write. Everything is written. Everything is written. Okay. Because I know whatever I speak, people will always try to tell me that, sir, you spoke this, give us the time to write this, that. So I don't take that risk. Whatever I will speak, there will be absolutely 100% will be covered in my notes. See, I'm talking about this part right now, but let us keep it hidden. Okay. How many sections? Section number 1 to section number 298. So according to you, there has to be 298 sections in the Income Tax Act? Yes or no? No. More than 800 sections are there. If we count, no, then it is more than 800. But number wise, it is 1 to 298. That's it. So after 1, 2 is there. After 2, 3 is there. After 3, 4 is there. 5, 6, 7. Likewise, no. If I go to section 10, no. After 10, 11 should be there? No. 10A is there. 10AB is there. 10AA is there. So 4 sections with section 10 itself. Before section 11 comes, 3 more sections are inserted. Why the government does that? Because that is the proper place, logical place where those sections should be placed. If it is placed somewhere else, no, it will not be logical, it will be illogical, and the law will become very complicated. So the government will always think that, okay, the new thing which we are going to bring in, but that new thing should be after this provision, but before this provision. So between these two provisions, there will be new provision inserted. Altogether a new number. After 80, 81 should come, no? After section 80, 81 should come, no? No. After 80, 80A is there, 80B is there, 80C is there, 80 triple C, 80 CCD, 80 CCE, 80D, 80 double D, 80 DDB, 80 E, 80 double E. Likewise, there are around 25 to 30 sections between 80 to 81. So likewise, if you keep on counting the number of sections, no, it goes beyond 800. But if someone asks you in the examination, how many sections are there in the Income Tax Act, you are supposed to say 298. That's it. But in practical life, if you go and count, it is more than 298. Okay, more than, in fact, more than 800. Got it? Everyone? Now come on, tell me. Income Tax Act, 298 sections. Now just imagine if there is a book and that book is written without proper sectioning, without proper division of sections into chapters. Won't that book be difficult to understand? So Income Tax Act is a huge book having too many sections, too many provisions. And if these provisions are not bifurcated logically, chapter wise, what will happen? It will be very difficult to understand this entire Income Tax Act. So to understand logically the sections and the Income Tax Act, all the sections, all the 298 sections are logically divided into 23 chapters. How many chapters? There are 23 chapters. Roman 23. Chapter number 1, section number 1, 2, 3. Section number 1, 2, 3 is chapter number 1. Chapter number 1 is preliminary. So chapter number 1 preliminary, and in that section 1, 2, 3 is there. Then chapter number 2 you will go section number 4 to section number 14A. Then chapter number 3 will start from section number 15 onwards. Likewise, every chapter, few sections, few set of sections are divided in every chapter. So how many chapters are there? How many chapters are there? 23 chapters, and these 23 chapters contains how many sections? 298 sections. But see, if some section, no, there is a lot of content in that section, and if entire content is presented there only in that section itself, then that section becomes very lengthy and complicated. So let us keep the main part in this section, and the extra part which should be there in the section is not kept here. Let us put this part somewhere else, where after the act is, after all the section ends, let us put them in schedules. So schedule is nothing but extension of a section. So whatever is written in this section belongs to a particular section which is not written there. So as to avoid complications and confusion, rather it is put in some schedules. So how many schedules are there in the Income Tax Act? There are 14 schedules. So if anyone asks you that the law which you are studying, the Income Tax Act which you are studying, if you can see that how that law is, how that law is made, how that law is arranged. So you are supposed to tell them that the law is divided into 23 chapters containing 298 sections having 14 schedules. Now if I'll take you to, let's say, income tax website, okay, I'll take you to the income tax website, you will come to know. See, official website of the income tax department, it is there on your screen. Can you all see this? Okay, this is the official website. See, incometaxindia.gov.in. Now if you will go here now, see tax laws and rules. Can you see tax laws and rules? Let me make it a little bit more bigger. Okay, here can you see Income Tax Act? If I select it, Income Tax Act will be there. Now see section number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these sections. After 5, 5A is there, then 6, 7, 8, 9. Likewise, if you'll go to the next page, okay, if you'll go to the next page, sorry, I've come to the last page. No, not on the last page. If I'm going to go to the next page. Okay, let's see next page, page number 2. See this entire Income Tax Act, no, section number 9A, 9B, 10, 10A, 10AA, 10B, 10BA, 10BB, 10C, then 11 comes. Likewise, and if for example I go to, wait, if I go to very first section, this first section will open in front of you. See chapter number 1. Can you see chapter number 1 written here? What is preliminary? So under chapter number 1, which is a preliminary chapter, you will get section number 1. And this section number 1 talks about short title, extent and commencement. Then again you will go, see if you close this, you will go to section number 2. Okay, section number 2, that preliminary chapter started, no? After section number 1, section number 2 is there, and this is a definition section. So all the definitions, all the terms which are defined in the Income Tax Act are given in this section number 2. Section number 2, subsection 1, first definition is advanced tax. And when I'll go down, okay, when I'll go down, if I'll see, there will be after 2(1)(a), sorry, after 2 subsection 1, it will be 2(1)(a), then 2 subsection 2, then 2 subsection 3, likewise 2 subsection 48. So these many terms are there defined under the Income Tax Act. So definition section is also there. Then section 3 will be over. And when I'll come to section number 4, see section number 4, chapter 2 starts. Chapter 1, section 1, 2, 3. And chapter 2, basis of charge. Now the name of this chapter is basis of charge, that what will be charged under this law, how that will be charged, when that will be charged. Everything is given from section number 4 onwards. Getting my point? So whenever required, no, we will be coming to this also. But what I usually do, see, I have to study everything from the Income Tax Act from here only. But if I tell you all at CA intermediate level to come with me and start reading that law from there, no, you will go mad. You will not understand a single thing. But in final CA, what we have to do, we have to actually pick up that law. From that law only we read the provision and then we study. Then we, actually interpret those provisions directly from the law. Because after becoming a chartered accountant, no, you will not have Umang sir. You will have to go and, read the bare act. So how to read the bare act? How to interpret that? You should be knowing everything in final CA only. But final CA, what people are doing? Running behind crash courses, exam oriented batches. You will pass at that time, but you will definitely fail in your professional journey. You will not be able to be a good tax professional. If you want to become a good tax professional, you need to learn the reading of income tax law. And by the way, the Income Tax Act which we are going to study right now is Income Tax Act 1961. Next year this law is going away. The new Income Tax Act has been formed. From May 27 exam onwards, Income Tax Act 2025 will be made applicable. So by the time you will be coming to final CNO, you will be learning altogether the new Income Tax Act, Income Tax Act 2025. So that means, sir, this law which we are studying will be, no, don't worry, this will not be redundant. The new Income Tax Act which is made, no, that is merely a copy paste of this law only. But this law was having too many sections in between, scattered. Okay, there was a problem in logical sequencing. There were certain provisions which were actually not required. There were certain provisions, numbering was, haywire. There were small changes have been brought, but the entirely basics of this law only is there in the new Income Tax Act, which you are going to study in your final CA. But you will enjoy that study only if your base is strong from here. Because ultimately that law, the new Income Tax Act which you are going to study, in final, for that law also base is this only. Okay. So now what we are going to study? We are going to study Income Tax Act 1961. So Income Tax Act 1961 having how many? 23 chapters containing 298 sections and 14 schedules. Now, don't you think why this Income Tax Act you are learning? What is there in this Income Tax Act which you are going to learn? This Income Tax Act will have what things? What things will be there in this Income Tax Act which you are going to study? This law will tell you about three things. LCC. For what purpose this law is made? This law is made for the levy of income tax, no? So this law will talk about levy, that when income tax will be levied, on what amount the income tax will be levied, on whom the income tax will be levied. So this law will first talk about the levy of income tax. When, on whom, and on what value the income tax will be levied. Now the value on which the income tax is levied and the amount of income tax, how that will be computed, even that will be given in this law. And after computing the income tax, amount of income tax, how that income tax will be collected from you, even that will be given in this law. So this law will speak about three things, majorly three things. Number one, levy of income tax. When the income tax will be levied, on what value the income tax will be levied, and on whom the income tax will be levied. After the levy, the value on which the levy is there, how to compute that value, computation. And on that value, what rates needs to be applied and how the income tax will be computed, even that will be given in this law. And once the income tax is calculated, how that income tax will be collected from you, even that will also be given in the law. But other than this, other miscellaneous matters are also there in the income tax law. But those miscellaneous matters are very small part of this law. But the major chunk of this law talks about what? LCC. Levy, computation and collection. So levy of income tax, computation, its computation and its collection. We are learning this law for these three reasons, because this law will talk about these three things. Not just the Income Tax Act, my dear friends. If you go and study the GST law, GST law also talks about LCC. If you go and study the Customs law, Customs Act will also speak about LCC. Any taxation law in India. Remember this for your entire career now. Any taxation law in India will always speak about three things, major things. L, C, C. When that tax will be levied, on what value it will be levied, and on whom the tax will be levied. How that value and the tax will be computed, and how that tax will be collected. Any taxation law in India speaks about these things only, and other miscellaneous matters. So the Income Tax Act 1961 contains provisions, means this law speaks about what? Levy, computation and collection of income tax and other miscellaneous provisions. And all these things which are there in the Income Tax Act is logically divided into 23 chapters containing 298 sections and having 14 schedules, my dear friends. Understood? Okay, now tell me one thing. If I write this, sir, this is known as section. The first two digits, means the first number 56 is known as main section. See, if the section is too big now, so that section is divided into small parts, understandable parts. So the small parts of that section is known as subsection. So if I am talking about the bracket, first bracket, no, this first bracket is what? The second part of this main section. So there will be 56 subsection 1, that is the first part of this main section. Then it is 56 subsection 2. This is the second part of this main section. So main section, if that is very big, it is divided into small parts, and all the small parts in that section are known as subsection. So the first bracket is what? Subsection. Now, for example, in a particular subsection, there are small parts. Then parts of the subsection are given after subsection and they are known as clauses. What do you call them? Clause. So in section number 56, there is subsection 2, and in subsection 2, there is a clause number 10. That means in subsection 2, clause number 1 will be there. Clause number 2, 1A will be there. Clause number 1B, clause number 1C, clause number 2, clause number 3, clause number 4. Likewise, this is the 10th clause in subsection 2. And in that clause also, if there are small parts, no, so that is known as subclause. So this is section 56, subsection 2, clause 10, subclause A. Getting my point? So how many sections? 298 sections. In certain sections, you will see subsections also. In certain sections, under the subsection, you will see clauses also. In certain sections, under the subsection, under the clauses, you will see subclauses also. Understanding? If I am writing only this is section. If I am writing this, section 56, subsection 2. And after 2, I am writing 1. Section 56, subsection 2, clause 1 of subsection 2. Getting my point? Hello, sir. Then, after this, clause A, subclause A. Subclause A of clause A in subsection 2 of section 56. See how minutely they have, divided the things so that the reader gets a proper understanding without any confusion. If they would have wanted, they would have given everything in paragraph form. Go and read. So this is the way in which the entire law is, divided in logical small parts. So this is easy to digest and understand. Getting my point? Now, along with a section, there are provisos also which you are supposed to study. Proviso. And there can be explanations which are attached to the section. So whenever there is a proviso given in a section, meaning that it is an exception to the section. So if this section tells you to do this thing, so proviso will speak some other thing. So in this exceptional case, don't do this, rather do this thing. Exception to the main provision is what? Proviso. So sometimes you can see to the main section there will be some exception, and that exception will be given in the form of proviso also. Getting my point? But in the main section, if there are certain things which are supposed to be brought to your attention, there are certain things for which clarification needs to be given here only. So those things are presented under the sections by way of what? Explanations. That if this explanation is there attached to this section, so you'll get a better understanding of certain things while following the provisions. Because for this provision, we are explaining this meaning this. For example, there is one provision. In that provision, firm is not eligible to get this benefit. Firms are not eligible to get this benefit. But in the explanation, they will write, firms also includes LLP. That means we are making clear that this provision is not applicable for firm. And in the explanation we are writing, firms also includes what? LLP. That means this provision equally applies to LLP also. Getting my point? Understanding? So this is your Income Tax Act. Now tell me, Income Tax Act, friends, Income Tax Act was made in 1961. Yes or no? Income Tax Act was made in 1961. This act, when it was made, from that time till today, it has been updated or it has been amended every year. So there have been amendments in this law every year through Finance Acts. So what is a Finance Act? Let me tell you first. Okay. See what happens now. If I say that in India, budget is presented in the parliament. So in the budget which is to be presented in the parliament every year, okay, the budget is usually presented on the 1st February every year. So this year we are into 25-26 right now. Okay, no? We are into 25-26 right now. So this year the budget was presented on 1st of February 2025. Now what is this budget? Why budget? And why this budget in the parliament? Who presents the budget? See, government is running the country. Which government is running the country? Central government is running the country. So central government is running the country. So central government will be earning the income, central government will be spending money. So to take care of the revenue and the expenditure of the central government, there is a separate ministry which takes care of this work. Okay, like there is a railway ministry, there is a textile ministry, there is a human resource ministry. Likewise, there is a separate ministry under the central government. That ministry is Finance Ministry. So head of this Finance Ministry is our Finance Minister. and she is our beloved Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman. Understanding? Right now she is the finance minister, no? So the responsibility to take care of the incomes and expenses of the country, that responsibility, central government has given that responsibility to the finance ministry. Now finance ministry will take care that where the money will be spent by the government, and to spend that money from which places the government, the country will earn the income, right? And see, every household the budget is made, that before the year starts our parents sit at home and they make the budget for the year, that what will be the expenses for the next year, grocery this much, rent this much, children's education this much amount, we have to go for lunch and dinners etc., entertainment etc., this much amount, we will be going on vacations, this much amount. So for the next year the planning happens beforehand, that where the money will be spent next year, and to spend that money from where the income will be earned, right? No, so to run a small household this budgeting exercise is required. Just imagine about this huge country. To run this entire country for the next year a budget is required, no? Where the money will be spent in the next year, from where the incomes will be earned in the next year. So there has to be a budget which has to be prepared before the next year comes. So come on, what is the year which is about to come? The year which is about to come is 1st April 2025 to 31st March 2026. Can I say financial year 2025-26? The government calls it fiscal year. For government it is a fiscal year and we call it what? Financial year. Okay, no? So for this 25-26, where the government will spend the money? Okay, infrastructure facility 10,000 crores, railways 50,000 crores, defense 1 lakh crores. The government will announce in the budget itself that the government is planning to make these expenditures in the next year. Understanding? So the budget will not speak only about the expenditures to be made in the next year. The budget will also talk about to meet those expenditure from where the incomes will be earned in the next year. Where the incomes will be earned next year? From where the incomes will be coming? Many sources, but the main source is what? Collection of taxes. Understanding? So in this year, direct taxes will be collected this much. Indirect taxes will be collected this much. And this much collection will be made only if income tax law has certain amendments. This much indirect taxes next year will be collected only if indirect tax laws has some amendments. So in the budget only, which is there on 1st February 2025, in the budget only, the finance minister will speak that in the next year we are planning to collect this much direct tax. But this much direct tax will be collected provided these amendments are made in the direct tax law, which will be applicable for the next year. Next year, we are planning to collect this much indirect tax revenue. But this much indirect tax revenue will come to us provided these changes are brought in the indirect tax law. So the changes which are proposed in the taxation law, these changes are proposed by the finance minister in the budget speech itself, in the budget itself. Getting my point? So what happens here? See, on 1st of February 2025, 1st of February 2025, the budget will be presented in the parliament, and this budget will be presented by whom? By the finance minister will present this budget. And this budget, my dear friends, is known as finance bill. This bill will be applicable. This budget is for 25-26, and this budget is coming on 1st February 25. 1st February 25, applicable for 25-26. So this finance bill, budget is also known as what? Finance bill. So this bill is finance bill 25, because it is coming in the year 2025, which is to be applicable for 25-26. Getting my point? Now this finance bill will have what? Proposed amendments. Proposed amendments in direct tax laws and indirect tax laws. That means the government wants to bring these changes in the law. Government proposing these changes in the parliament, because government without the approval of the parliament cannot bring these changes. Who has made the law? Parliament. So who is authorized to make the changes in law? Parliament only, no? But what changes are to be brought in the law will be told to the parliament by the government only. Sir, are you understanding or not? Who has made the law? Parliament. And if that law has to be changed, who will change? Who will amend? Parliament only. But who will tell the parliament to make the changes? What changes are supposed to be made? The government will say only, no, because government is implementing that law. So only the government will come to know that what changes are supposed to be made to make this law applicable for the next year. Getting my point? So the government will propose, and on the proposal, proposed changes are there in the bill. Now this bill will contain the changes, proposed amendments in both the laws. Now on these proposals, there will be what? Discussion. Discussion in the parliament. Parliament, all the members in the parliament, they will see, okay, the government who is running the country, that government is saying that these changes are to be brought. Whether these changes are okay or not, let us have a discussion. So once the discussion will be made, there are certain changes which we don't want. So we will say, no, these changes will not be done. There are certain changes which are okay. Okay, these changes we approve. There are certain changes which will not happen like this. It will happen like this. Getting my point? So discussion will be happening. And after discussion on every change, there will be a discussion. On every amendment, there will be a discussion. And after discussion, the voting will be done. That okay, if we want this change or not. And after the discussion, voting is done. Voting on the finance bill will be done. And voting, and if the bill is passed by majority, majority of the votes are cast in the favor of the bill, okay, then on voting, if the bill gets a majority voting, getting my point, in both the houses of parliament, upper house, lower house, both the houses, getting my point, then the bill is passed. And the bill which is passed, that was finance bill 2025, which was discussed in the parliament, voting was done, and because of the majority voting in the favor of the bill is passed in the parliament from both the houses. Now the bill which was passed in the parliament will now be sent to whom? This bill will be sent to the president. Who is the president of India? Come on, tell me. Mr. Narendra Modi. He is the prime minister, macha. He is not the president. He is the prime minister. Who is the president of India? Srimati Draupadi Murmu. She is the president of India. So what Mrs. Murmu will do? The bill will come to the president and the president will give the assent. President will give the assent means approval to the bill. So after the president's approval, meaning president's assent, the bill which was passed after the president's approval, it will become Finance Act. So from a draft law, it will now become a law. And this Finance Act which is made, it is made from the Finance Bill 2025, no? So this Finance Act will now be known as what? Finance Act 2025. Getting my point? Now tell me, don't you think that whatever changes which were proposed in the Income Tax Act by Finance Bill, those changes will now be in this Finance Act? Whatever changes which were proposed in the GST Act, GST law, in the Finance Bill, out of those changes, there are certain changes which are there in the Finance Act only also. So bill was having certain changes proposed in the Income Tax Act. Out of these changes, some changes were approved and now they are the part of Finance Act, no? Now this Finance Act will contain what? Amendments which are final amendments in both direct tax law as well as indirect tax laws. Getting my point? Now we are not supposed to do anything. We are supposed to take our Income Tax Act. Income Tax Act 1961, which was updated till 2024. Which was updated till 2024. I will pick that Income Tax Act. Now what I will do? From this Finance Act 2025, whatever the changes in the Income Tax Act are there, no? I will bring these changes from Finance Act 2025. I will merge these changes in the Income Tax Act. Now I have new Income Tax Act. Income Tax Act 1961 as amended by Finance Act 25. Now this Income Tax Act will be applicable on the income which the taxpayer will be earning in 25-26. And as per this Income Tax Act, your income will be taxed by the central government, which you will be earning in 25-26. Getting my point, everyone? Hello, sir? Sure, sir? Wait. So are we going to learn only Income Tax Act? Come on, tell me. No. Wherever the changes are made in the Income Tax Act, those changes of the Finance Act also we are supposed to study. So changes made by which Finance Act we are supposed to study? Changes made by Finance Act 2025? No. No. Because those changes which are made by Finance Act 25 are not applicable for your attempt. May 25 attempt, September 25 attempt and January 26 attempt. These 3 attempts, the changes made by Finance Act 25 are not applicable. Reason, simple. When the budget came, come on, tell me, when the budget came? 1st February 25. And don't you think that this entire process from budget, that means a Finance Bill 2025 becoming Finance Act 2025, it is a process, no? Will this process be over on 1st February itself? Or this process will take time? This process will take time, meaning that if the budget came in 1st February 2024, which was presented in the Parliament on 1st February 2025, from this budget, changes were proposed, discussion in the parliament, voting, then the bill is passed, then the bill is sent to the president, and the president giving the assent. This entire process would have taken at least 2 months time. So by the time the changes which were proposed, they were finalized, becoming Finance Act, it was already 31st March 2025. Now just imagine the institute tells you that macha, for May 25 attempt or September 25 attempt or January 26 attempt, read the Income Tax Act 1961 as amended by Finance Act 25. The people appearing in May 25, no, they are gone. Because within 1 month, April month, the changes have just been made applicable end of March, and we have only 1 month time to read all these amendments with the Income Tax Act and appear for May 25 exam. How do you expect us to read everything in 1 month? That is practically not possible. So for May 25, these Finance Act 25 changes are not applicable. Not for September 25 also. Why? Because till March 2025, no, all the September 25 students would have already started their studies, passing foundation in September 24. September 24, you must have given your foundation. And then you have passed your exam and you have already started your studies. So by now, you would have at least studied what? 50 to 70% of your syllabus of income tax as per the old law itself, 24. And now we tell you to read this amendment and come for the exam. It will be a hardship for you, no? And for January students also the same logic is there. Because January 26 students will be appearing in January 26. They would have given their exam in January 25. January 25 results would have been declared by February or March. And by that time they would have already started their studies as per old law only. The new law has just been made. And this law, after making this law, to get the law settled in the country, it takes 4 or 5 more months. We don't expect the professionals also to know this law at this time. How can we expect the students to know this law for their exams? Because they would have already started their studies by the time this becomes a law. Getting my point? So for all the attempts, May 25, September 25 and January 26, this Finance Act 25 is not applicable. So what is applicable? Income Tax Act, which was there for 2023. That will be our base. And which is amended by Finance Act 2024. By the time you are appearing for this exam, that law, Finance Act 2024, is already settled. And that is there. Amendments are already settled. Read those amendments and come for the exams. May 25, September 25 and January 26. These 3 attempts, Income Tax Act as amended by Finance Act 24, that is applicable in the exams. So we are not going to study any amendments of Finance Act 2025 because those are not applicable only for our attempts. Sir, but no, we want to learn the updated law. Sir, we want to learn Finance Act 2025. I will teach you. But you'll have to promise me one thing. You have to appear for May 26. Can you promise me? You want to pass in September 25 or latest January 26 now? So if you are planning to appear for May 26 now, most welcome. I am going to teach you Finance Act 25 amendments for that. Next batches will be starting for May 26 and onwards attempt, in those batches, I'm going to teach Finance Act 2025 amendment, because those amendments are applicable for May 26, September 26 and January 27, not for your attempt. For your attempt, what is applicable? Income Tax Act 1961 as amended by Finance Act 24. And my dear friends, 2024 was election year. Which year, sir? Election year. So in the election year, what happens? Usually there are two budgets. And from those two budgets, two finance acts are made. One budget was presented on 1st February 2024. That was Finance number 1 bill of 2024. From this, Finance number 1 Act 2024 was passed. This was the budget of the government prior to election. That okay, before the election takes place, to run the country in the next year, let us make a rough budget. That rough budget before the election which is made, this is known as interim budget. Which budget? Interim budget. And from this interim budget, Finance Act 24 number 1 was made. Now after this, the elections were held in India. And after the elections, what happens? The old government either goes away and the new government takes place. New government forms. Old party government goes away and new party forms the government. So this first budget was presented by the existing government, old party government. Now in the election, if new party is winning and new government is forming, so a new budget, final budget will be prepared and presented after the elections. And what if the old party wins and forms the government? Then also that government is a new government. And that new government will always make a final budget after the election is over. So on 1st February 24, this was an election year. The last election year was 2019, if you remember. In 2019, and prior to that it was 2014. In 2014 there were two finance acts. In 2019 there were two finance acts. In 2024 also there were two finance acts. Now in the 2029 also there will be two finance acts. Getting my point? So once the elections are done, after that, on 23rd of July 2024, another final budget was prepared. This was known as Finance number 2 bill of 2024. See, in the same year, two budgets are prepared. One is interim budget, second is final budget. So first is number 1 and second is number 2. So always number 2 is final, and number 2 will have more amendments and major amendments as compared to number 1 budget. Getting my point? And this time in 2024, the budget, second budget, final budget was presented on 23rd of July. Hence this date becomes very important. This date will come multiple times in your capital gains chapter. Multiple times. Understanding? Because that is the budget date, 2024, 23rd July. Now, this finance bill was passed in the parliament and it became Finance number 2 Act of 2024. And you won't believe, the Income Tax Act, what did I say? Income Tax Act as amended by Finance Act 24. The amendments from these two finance acts in the Income Tax Act 1961. We are supposed to learn the Income Tax Act 1961 as amended by Finance Act number 1 and number 2 of 2024. But broadly speaking, Finance Act number 1 virtually does not have any amendments. Whatever amendments you will be learning from Finance Act number 2 because that was the final budget. Getting my point, everyone? So we will be learning this Income Tax Act, which is amended by Finance Act 24. That means the Income Tax Act which will be there in our hands now will be for 2023, updated till 2023. And now in this Income Tax Act, whatever amendments which are made by Finance Act 24 will be incorporated. So now we are learning now we are learning Income Tax Act 1961 as amended by 2024, which will be applicable on the incomes which you will be earning in 2024-25. So whatever incomes you will be earning in 2024-25, all those incomes, the central government will charge tax on all those incomes as per this Income Tax Act, which is amended by Finance Act 2024. Getting my point? So in your examination also, we are going to get these amendments. You are going to be asked the question based on this law itself. Don't worry about it. And whatever amendments are there, we are going to cover each and every amendment in the class itself while our studies. What was the old part? I will tell you that also. And what is the new amended part? That I will also tell you. What you are supposed to remember? Old or new one? New one. And as per the new provision, as per the amended provision, what will be the solution? What is the concept and what this concept is there in the question, then how the question will be solved. For you all know, it is very important that you pass September attempt. If you don't pass September attempt, no, you will get only one chance, January 26, because in January 26 also the same law will be applicable. But unfortunately, if you don't qualify in these two attempts, no, what will happen? You will have to appear for May 26, and in May 26, whatever law you have studied, no, will be applicable. But then you will have to study Finance Act 2025 amendments also. At what places the amendments are there, which amendments are applicable for your exams, May 26 onwards, then how to approach those amendments, how to understand those amendments. After understanding how those amendments will be asked in the question, if the amendment is coming in the question, then how to solve that question. It becomes very, very, very difficult for the students, and that time the student gets confused and they run here and there and they waste their time. So what happens? Again, May 26 attempt they flunk. And 2-3 attempts if you flunk, no, what happens? You give up them. Maximum dropouts in CA Inter. In CA curriculum, maximum dropouts is in CA Inter only. Foundation, very easy, you pass. Or if you are direct entry student, you pass graduation and you enter. But passing this Inter, no, is very critical because you get very less time to cover huge syllabus. Getting my point? And once you pass CA Inter, no, then you go for your articleship and final. Majority of the students, if there is no, if there are some unavoidable situations, only then the students will leave CA. Otherwise, once you pass CA Inter, no, sooner or later you are going to become a chartered accountant. 70 to 80% people become a CA sooner or later. But passing this hurdle of Inter CA is very important because maximum dropouts are here in CA Inter. People give up that this is not my cup of tea. Getting my point, everyone? So put your wholehearted efforts, everything what you have. See what is written here. Can you see above me? If there is even 1% chance, no, fight. Fight till your last breath. If you see a ray of hope, no, run for that. But don't give up. Okay. So we are into that stage only right now where we don't have to give up. We have to study and study hard. Okay. Come on. Let's come to this part. Okay. See this thing. Income Tax Act 1961. This thing is done. Along with Income Tax Act, what we are going to study, the amendments made by Annual Finance Act, and the Finance Act which is applicable for our exam is Finance Act 2024, and major amendments are there in number 2 Act. Those number 2 Act, Finance Act we are going to study amendments. Okay. So what is the Finance Act? Finance Act contains changes or amendments brought every year in various taxation laws in India, including the Income Tax Act 1961. Process of enacting Finance Act is as follows. How the Finance Act is made in India? First, budget session is held on 1st February every year in the Parliament. The finance bill is presented by the finance minister, then discussion happens, then voting happens, then what happens? That finance bill is passed in the both houses of the Parliament with the majority of votes casted in the favor of that bill. Then once it is passed, it becomes a passed finance bill. Then it goes to the president for president's assent. Once the president gives the assent, it becomes a finance act. And this finance act contains the changes which are supposed to be brought in a taxation law. And our income tax law, the changes in our income tax law also are given in the finance act, which we are supposed to pick from the finance act and put in the income tax act, so that we are learning a new income tax act. Getting my point? Now, what are income tax rules? Friends, what are income tax rules? Income tax rules are helping hands. See, if there is a provision, these provisions will be implemented only if there is a rule made to implement it. Without rule, no, this provision, either there will be a problem in implementing this provision, or people will do the things on their own. That means the same provision is applicable to you, same provision is applicable to me. We will be following this provision as per our thinking only. Whatever we want to do, we will be doing. Whatever I want to do, I will be doing. Whatever you want to do, you will be doing. There will be no uniformity in doing the things for this provision. So the government wants that on someone, if the provision is applicable, and on the other person also, if this provision is applicable, both the parties are following the same rules to follow this provision. Only then this provision will be followed properly. For example, under the Income Tax Act, there is a provision under the PGBP head. There is one head, PGBP head, business and profession. What happens? Under the business and profession head, all the business incomes you charge to tax. So whatever income you are earning from your business, no, that income you are bringing under the head PGBP, business and profession head. And from that business and profession head, whatever income you are charging, from that income you get the deduction of certain expenses. So you take the deduction of electricity charges, you take the deduction of the rent of your shop, etc. You take the deduction of the salaries of your staff, etc. Right? No? So whatever business income you are earning, to earn this business income, whatever expenses you are making, these expenses you reduce from the income, so that a net income remains, profit remains. On that profit you pay tax. But while reducing the incomes, you also get the deduction for depreciation. What did I say? You also get the deduction for depreciation. So from your business income, you reduce the expenses, also reduce the depreciation. Will you get the deduction for depreciation? Yes. What rate? What method? How you will calculate? Everything is given in rules. So every business, every assessee earning business income, every taxpayer earning business income, that taxpayer has to reduce depreciation. How that depreciation will be calculated? For everyone, follow this method. For everyone having this asset, follow this rate. There cannot be different methods for different person. There cannot be different rate on the same asset for different persons. Getting my point? Everyone will follow this. And this is given in rule. So if the rules are followed, only then the depreciation provision can be followed. Getting my point? So to make the assessee follow a particular provision, rules help to follow that provision. So there is a separate book, rule book, and that rule book is known as Income Tax Rules 1962. And that rule contains rules applicable to various sections. For this section, go to this rule. For this section, go to this rule. Right or no? And by following that rule, you will be able to give effect to this provision. You will be able to follow this provision. Everyone got this? So this income tax rules also you will be studying. In some provision, if there is an applicability of income tax rules, we will, with that provision, we will learn that income tax rule also. Getting my point, everyone? Now, circulars are issued by CBDT. Now, please pay attention. See, central government is there. Under the central government, finance ministry is there. Now, finance ministry has this responsibility. Finance ministry has the responsibility to earn income and spend on behalf of the central government. But finance ministry will earn the income. Can I say for the central government who will earn income? Finance ministry. And finance ministry will earn the income by way of various taxes. Central government will earn income by collecting taxes through its finance ministry only, no? But don't you think that the finance ministry has many other things to do rather than collecting the taxes only? So, for the purpose of collecting the taxes, finance ministry has formed separate bodies. One is CBDT and another is CBIC. CBDT full form is Central Board of Direct Taxes and CBIC full form is Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs. Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, and CBDT means Central Board of Direct Tax. Now, what finance ministry has done? Finance ministry has delegated the power to CBDT as well as CBIC. That CBDT take the Income Tax Act in your hands, read the provisions and make the people of India follow this provision and collect the taxes on behalf of us. That means CBDT is entrusted with a duty. It is the duty of the CBDT to make the people follow the Income Tax Act and collect the taxes, income tax from the people and give it to the government. So what is the duty? What is the role of CBDT? CBDT's role is to get the Income Tax Act implemented in India and collect the taxes from the taxpayers, collect the income tax from the taxpayers and give that income tax to the central government. It is a tax collection authority who is entrusted with one duty, that your duty is to make people follow the law. And by making them follow the law, collect the taxes from them, make them pay the taxes to the government. Getting my point? Which taxes? Direct taxes. But for indirect tax, there is a separate body and that body is known as CBIC. Okay. Now, CBDT is an authority. Just tell me, one authority is there and how many taxpayers are there in India? Many individuals, crores of individuals are there who are earning income. Lakhs and lakhs of thousands of companies and partnership firms are there. So from so many taxpayers, this single entity cannot go everywhere and collect the taxes. So they are given certain employees, that the central government will give certain employees. Okay, that these are the central government employees. Take the help of all these employees. Take the help of all these employees On your instruction, these central government employees will go and collect the taxes by making the people follow Income Tax Act and collect the taxes for the government. But you are supposed to, meaning CBDT is supposed to guide them. And all these employees who will be working under the CBDT, they will be collectively working under a department known as Income Tax Department. So central government has given the work to Finance Ministry, and Finance Ministry has given that work to the, delegated that work to the CBDT. Now under the CBDT, one Income Tax Department is formed, having many employees of the central government. Okay. Now this Income Tax Department will be directly reporting, Income Tax Department and its employees will be directly reporting to the CBDT that how they are making the people follow the law. Targets will be given, instructions will be given, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Getting my point or not? Because it is the ultimate responsibility of the CBDT through this Income Tax Department to make the people follow the law and collect the income tax. Got it, everyone? Hence, what happens? No, everywhere, if you will see all around India, you will see multiple income tax offices. There will be income tax office in Chennai, there will be income tax office in Pondicherry, there will be income tax office in Bangalore, there will be income tax office in Ahmedabad, there will be income tax office in Mumbai. All around, this entire income tax offices all taken together is known as Income Tax Department. And different offices, different government employees will be put, known as income tax officers. Getting my point? And all the departments, all the offices of the department will be reporting to the CBDT. So under CBDT, entire income tax department, and under the income tax department, various income tax offices are there, and under the income tax offices, various employees are there. And why I am telling you this, now come to one point, that now tell me, who will be actually interacting with the taxpayers? This income tax department and its officers only, no? They will be directly in contact with whom? Taxpayers. Now they are supposed to make the taxpayer follow the law, collect the income tax from them and give it to the government through CBDT. Getting my point? Now tell me, what if the officer and its department who will make the people follow the law, if they have certain confusions in the law, they don't know what to do in this provision, how this provision will be followed, there are certain ambiguities, there are certain confusions, or they are following, but some department, some offices or some officers of the department following in the other way, some officers of the same department following in different way. For example, in the Chennai office of the income tax department, the same provision is followed in a different manner, and in the same department, Gujarat office income tax department, the same provision is followed differently. Two treatments cannot be given for one provision, no? Only one thing should happen, and this happens because of some confusion. So who will give the clarity that what to be done, what not to be done, how to be done, when to be done? Who will give the clarity to this department and its officers? Because without this clarity, even they will not be able to properly make the people follow the law and collect the taxes. So in the picture now come CBDT. CBDT will issue instructions. CBDT will issue what to do, what not to do, how to do, when to do. Getting my point? And if there are certain clarifications and confusions, CBDT will remove those confusions by way of issuing clarifications. And these are issued by way of issuing circulars. So circulars will be issued for the department and its internal working, that what to do, when to do, how to do, what not to do. If there are certain confusions, then this is the clarity. Getting my point? And once the CBDT has issued that circular, now that circular has eliminated all the confusions, clarification is there. So now every damn single officer in the department, entire income tax department, has to follow the instructions of the CBDT. It is binding on the income tax department, because you always have to obey your dad. So for the income tax department, who is the father? CBDT. And CBDT says that income tax department has to follow, because it is for the working of the department we are issuing this clarification. So this is applicable for all of you, binding for all of you. Department and all the officers of the department are bound to follow the instructions given in the circular. But it is not necessary that the circulars which are issued are to be followed by the taxpayers also. Taxpayer may or may not follow the circular, because those circulars are not issued for the taxpayer. Those circulars are for the internal working of the department. However, if certain circulars are beneficial for the taxpayer, then certainly the taxpayer can take the advantage of those beneficial circulars, but it is not necessary that the circulars are binding on the taxpayers also. Getting my point, everyone? In the same manner, under CBIC, there is GST department, and the same process is followed there also. Getting my point? But we are more concerned about whom? CBDT. Under the Income Tax Act, implementation of Income Tax Act in India is the responsibility of CBDT, and CBDT fulfills this responsibility through the Income Tax Department. Getting my point? And while implementing the income tax law through the Income Tax Department and its officers might come across to certain confusion, certain doubts. So CBDT issues clarifications in the form of circulars, which are binding on the department and its officers. Got it? So in certain places, no, in certain provisions, if there is some CBDT circular which is beneficial, or which we also have to study, with those provisions, I will teach you those CBDT circulars also. Not all the circulars, but whatever circulars which are relevant for your CA intermediate, which we should know. Getting my point? Now, what happens? Central government issues notifications also. See, issuing the notification is the power of the central government, given by the Income Tax Act only. There is one specific provision in the Income Tax Act, that provision gives the power to the central government to issue the notifications. And notifications are issued to give the effect to the provisions of the Income Tax Act. Because if the notifications are not issued, then the provision cannot be followed. In order to follow this provision, in order to give effect to the provision, there has to be a notification. Without the notification, this provision cannot be followed. This provision cannot be adhered to. For example, I will give you an example, then you will understand this. I will give you an example. See, there is one section, section 10, subsection 15 in the Income Tax Act. We will learn this section later on, but I am just giving you a basic idea so as to understand the concept of notification. So there is one section, section 10(15) in the Income Tax Act. This section says that any interest, on bonds or debentures of notified public limited companies, that interest will be exempt. So the provision is giving an exemption for interest. This provision says that this interest will not be taxable, this interest will be exempt. Which interest? the interest which you are earning from bonds or debentures of any company or notified public limited companies. Notified, no? It is written there. So section 1015 says that the company must be notified. The public limited company must be notified, and the bonds or debentures of this notified company, on these bonds and debentures of the notified companies, if you are earning what? Interest, that interest will be exempt under 1015. Just imagine if this provision is there. So this provision tells you that this interest will be exempt, but to get this interest which you can exempt, there has to be a notification notifying these companies, no? If there is no notification notifying these companies, can this provision ever be followed? No. This will be a redundant provision then. Just for the sake of making the provision is made, but to give the effect to this provision, there is no notification only, because without the notification, this provision cannot be followed only. Getting my point? So there is a notification. In that notification, there are certain public limited companies which are notified. And if you are buying the bonds and debentures of this company, which are the names of whom are given in this notification, the bonds and debentures of this company, interest on this bonds and debentures you can claim as exempt under this section. No other interest. And even the income tax department will give you the exemption of only this interest. So the notification is binding for you also, and it is binding for the department also. Whatever written in the notification, you will follow. Whatever written in the notification, even the department will follow. Department cannot give you exemption for any other interest other than this. You cannot claim the exemption for any interest other than this. Getting my point? So to get the effect, to give the effect to this section, there has to be a notification. Without notification, this provision could not be followed. Getting my point? Who will issue the notification? Central government. And once the notification is issued, is the notification binding on all? Yes. The answer is yes. It is binding on the income tax department as well as the taxpayer. It is binding on all. Got it? Now, last point which I would like to discuss with you here is, for example, this is Income Tax Act. This is Income Tax Act. Who will implement this law in India? Central government will implement this law in India. Meaning central government through income tax department will implement this law in India. So income tax will be collected from you by the income tax department by following the law, this law only. And you will also pay tax on your income as per this law only. So between you and between the income tax department, this law is common. You will pay income tax on your income as per this law. The income tax department will ask for income tax from you as per this law only. Right? No? Now tell me, you are different. Income tax department and its officers are different, but the law is common. This common law between the different persons can be understood differently, can be interpreted differently, because your understanding and the department's officer's understanding of the same provision can be definitely different, no? So he has understood a provision differently, and according to him, you are liable to pay tax on your income. But the same provision you have also studied, and you have understood that provision differently. According to your interpretation, you are not liable to pay tax. Now, whose interpretation is correct? Yours or departments? Or none of you? Who will decide that? Courts. Now, the dispute regarding the interpretation of a provision will first go to courts. Case will be filed in the court. Either you will file or the department will file. Okay, no. But before filing that case, there is a process of filing an appeal in the department itself. So if the income tax officer is telling you to pay tax, he has issued a demand notice that according to us, we are reading this provision, according to us, you are supposed to pay tax. He has issued a demand notice against you. He is asking for 50 lakh rupees of tax from you. But according to your understanding, you are not liable to pay 50 lakh rupees of tax. Rather, you are liable to pay only 10 lakhs, or you are not liable to pay any tax, because your interpretation of the law says that you are not going to pay any tax. But he is not listening to you. What he has called you, he has tried to talk to you, you have tried to convince him, but he is not listening. He has passed a demand notice against you. Now, are you aggrieved? Are you aggrieved? That means, are you suffering from this order? Will you suffer from this order? Whom will you complain? So there has to be some authority in the income tax department itself, no? Who will listen to you? Who is independent? So there is one authority in the income tax department itself. The name of that authority is CIT, appeals. So there are commissioners. Commissioners will tell the income tax officers to do the assessment in a certain manner. So as per the instructions of the commissioner, the income tax officer will assess your income, charge tax on you. But what if the income tax officer has told you to pay tax? He has told you to pay tax as per the instruction of the commissioner only, no? So you are not supposed to go to that commissioner, because that commissioner will say that I have only told him to charge tax from you. So you are supposed to go to another commissioner who will listen to your appeals. So this commissioner is different. This is only CIT, Commissioner of Income Tax, who will instruct the income tax officer that do the assessment in this manner and charge this much tax. And as per his instruction only, you are charged tax by the income tax officer. So going to that commissioner of income tax is of no use. There is another commissioner who is sitting at the same level. See, he is also commissioner of income tax and he is also commissioner of income tax. Both are sitting at same level. But this new commissioner which I am talking about, no, this is commissioner of income tax appeals. Commissioner of income tax appeals. In short, we call him CITA. Now wait, who is this? He is a taxpayer. And this is CIT, Commissioner of Income Tax, who has instructed the income tax officer to charge tax. So he has passed an order against you. Income tax officer has issued a demand order against you and is telling you to pay tax in this order. Now, are you aggrieved by this order? Yes. Are you thinking that you are being harassed? Yes. So will you go to this commissioner? Look at the screen. Will you go to this commissioner to tell him that see what order your income tax officer is passing? He is not going to help you because he only has told the officer to pass this order. So you go to someone who is sitting at the same level of this commissioner, and that is Commissioner of Income Tax Appeals. Now you challenge this order over here. And once you challenge your order, no, the CIT appeals will call the income tax officer also, and he will call you also. He will listen to both of you. Then the CIT appeals will pass order. Now tell me, in the CIT appeals order, what can happen? He can say that whatever income tax officer has said, you are supposed to pay this. Or he can say that no, his order is wrong. You don't pay this. I will tell him to cancel his order. Getting my point? Either you can win or you can lose. Or either the department can win, officers can win or lose. Because this party is a quasi-judicial party. This is not judiciary, this is not a court, but it is a court in itself in the income tax department. Getting my point? So before going to the main court, go to the appellate party, appellate person which is there in income tax department. Now if you are going to CIT appeals, and for example, if you or the income tax department against whom the CIT appeals has passed the order, can you challenge this order? Yes. Can the income tax department challenge this order? Yes. And this order will be challenged, and the first case will be filed in a court, and that court will be ITAT, Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. This is a special court in every district. This is a special court in every district. And what is the purpose of this court? Hearing the income tax related matters. That's it. No other case is heard in this court. Only the income tax matters are heard in this court. And you know, as a chartered accountant, you can represent your client till ITAT. You can go and fight the case for your client in Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. And now the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal will also pass an order. It can be against you, it can be in your favor, it can be against the department or against the in the favor of the department. Whoever is aggrieved from the order of ITAT, he will go to High Court. Now High Court will also pass the order, and the order of the High Court can be challenged in Supreme Court. And once the Supreme Court decides something, that is final, and that becomes the law of land. Did you understand the entire process, what is happening here? Why this Colaveridi? Come on, tell me. Why this Colaveridi? Meaning, all these things are done for some reasons, no? There was some interpretation issues in the law. Because of that, we had different opinions, and as a result of that, we have to fight the cases. Now, whenever the judgment will be given by the High Courts and the Supreme Courts, or ITAT even, those judgments will give a proper clarity about any provision. So for a particular provision, if there was a dispute between the department and the taxpayer, getting my point? What was that dispute? If this provision says this, then on the basis of this provision, what was the dispute? On this dispute, what was the judgment of the court? Meaning, what is that the court interprets? Interpretation given by the court, judgment given by the court is the actual interpretation of this provision. We have to learn that also wherever required. So certain places I will tell you Supreme Court judgments. Because of that judgment, there is a interpretation, and as per this interpretation, now we are supposed to follow this under the Income Tax Act, because once the judgment is passed by Supreme Court, that becomes the law of land. Automatically it becomes the part of Income Tax Act. Getting my point? There will be certain judgments of the High Courts, various High Courts. Madras High Court is there, Bombay High Court is there, okay. Then Ahmedabad High Court, Allahabad High Court is there. Different judgments are there of High Court. Those High Court judgments, wherever required, we will be learning those High Court orders, judgments also, so as to get a proper understanding. But did you understand the entire process? So what we are going to study? Friends, we are going to study the income tax law in India. What? We are going to study income tax law in India. But to study this law, what will be our base? Come on, tell me. What will be our base? It will be Income Tax Act 1961. But will it be sufficient to read this law? Or we'll have to read the amended law? Amended law. So we'll have to study the Finance Act 2024 amendments also. Will it be sufficient to read the amended law, or we should study the amended law with rules, circulars, notification and court judgments? If we learn all these things together, we are learning income tax law in India. Understood? So this is the entire stuff which you are going to learn from me. All right. So what we are going to do, we'll be having a off for today now. So this is enough of the discussion for the first lecture, because it is the first lecture. I will not put you in too much of trouble. Okay. What I will be doing, I will be passing on the PDF notes today on the group. After the lecture is over, just after the lecture, I will be sharing the PDF notes. Whatever we have studied so far, read from that PDF notes properly. If you want to take the printout, you can take the printout also, no problem. But I would strongly recommend that you write down all those things. Okay, it will not take more than 45 minutes. Even if you write and revise, still it will not take more than 45 minutes of your time. Because see, to explain the things which you are learning for the first time, it takes more time. But once you have learned something, to revise that thing, it takes almost 1/3 time. Even if you write, it will not take much of your time. So I would strongly recommend, if you are writing the things and doing, it will help you immensely. The things will be retained for a longer durations of time. Okay. But if you are not writing, no problem. But at least revise the things at home. Okay. So we are meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow the time will be the same. And the Zoom link which I have shared on the group, that is applicable for all our lectures. Okay. So tomorrow also you are supposed to join through that link only. Okay. So I hope you all have enjoyed the lecture, first lecture. Done? Okay. So we are meeting tomorrow, and after the lecture what will happen? After the lecture I'll be available for solving your doubts. So once the lecture is over, I'll not straight away go. I'll stay here for some time, at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes, so as to address your doubts. If you have any doubts, you can ask me after the lectures. Okay? Bye bye.